This is Dave with Silver Creek Outfitters bringing you our 2013 fishing outlook. I'm out on Warm Springs right now and I love this little stream. It's a tributary to the Big Wood. It's a really fun river to fish, and usually it fishes earlier than everything else in the Wood River Valley other than Silver Creek, because Silver Creek's a spring creek. But I really like Warm Springs and I love the fishing out here. There's some really good fish to be had. I think the snowpack this year is not real big snowpack. I think we're going to be fishing earlier than we have in the past couple of years. With that said, you can see behind me the water's still fairly high, and I expect to be fishing out here mid-June-ish, that time of year. But you'd have to find slow water, slow pools and stuff like that, and you could actually catch some fish nymphing and streamer fishing. I think the dry fly fishing is going to be more mid-June. We should get some really good hatches on the Big Wood, Warm Springs, and Trail Creek, including green drakes, some blue-winged olives, and bugs like that, including salmon flies earlier in the year this year. On the Wood and Warm Springs and Trail Creek, and even the Copper Basin, early in the season you want to be careful wading because the water is very dangerous. It's running really high, so really take your time, use a wading staff. A lot of times this time of year I don't like to wear my waders. I'll actually wet wade with my boots on so I don't get into trouble, into a bad spot. Early season fly selection, I like big stonefly nymphs. I like big dry flies like salmon flies, green drakes, Adams parachutes, and I like my regular bead heads, copper johns, pheasant tails, hare's ears. And I usually use them in bigger sizes like size 10s, 12s, and 14s. I still will carry some little zebra midges, 16s, 18s, and 20s, and use those in the calmer water. Okay, I want to talk about Silver Creek now, and that'll be good from opening day on, which is May 25th. I expect to see big PMDs early in the year, and usually the PMDs come out kind of late morning, early afternoon, depending on the temperatures. If it's really hot out and in the 80s, you'll see them actually earlier in the morning, like 8, 9, 10 o'clock. But if it's a cooler day early in the season, it's more afternoon hatches. I like PMDs. I also like little blue-winged olives, size 20, 22, and I love a pheasant tail down there. Early in the season in Silver Creek, you'll start to see some green drakes on the Nature Conservancy property and in that section of the creek. The brown drakes will start up down lower, and I expect those to come out sometime in early June this year. It's been a fairly warm spring. For those people planning their trips to Sun Valley this summer, if you like to go over to Stanley and the Salmon River and some of the high mountain lakes, you might think about coming a little earlier this year. And I would think at the end of June and July would be a great time to be out here for the high mountain lakes. I think they're going to fish a little earlier than normal. Especially on the Salmon River, we do drift boat trips up there, and that's really a fun fishery up there. Yeah, I think the month of July will be really good this year, and August might be a little skinny on the Salmon River. If you're going over to the Copper Basin or below the Big Lost, usually we don't fish those till the end of June or into July. This year I think it's going to be a little earlier, maybe middle of June, towards the end of June for those areas over there. I think below Mackey Reservoir, the tailwater there in Mackey is going to fish a lot earlier than it usually does. And I would expect the fishing to be very good over there because it was very good this winter and spring. Our lakes and reservoirs are going to be fairly low this year. So below Magic will fish probably earlier in the summer. I love that for a fishery. And over on the South Fork of the Boise, below Anderson Dam, should fish pretty good this summer. I think it'll be walk and wade once we hit July. They usually have the water up high. It's better drift boating in June, the month of June. South Fork of the Boise's been tough the past couple of years. I think everything's cyclical, but there are some beautiful big fish over in the South Fork of the Boise, and I recommend to everybody to go try that fishery out below Anderson Ranch Dam. It's a very fun place with some big fish. We actually get a fairly good salmon fly hatch on it some years, not every year, but that's a really fun fly to fish for big fish. I love cicadas over there too on the South Fork of the Boise.